Story 1. What did I encounter on my family's land? I wouldn't consider myself a very spiritual person, but I have no explanation for what I encountered on my family's property and was hoping someone had an answer as to whether or not this was some kind of spirit or entity. My family has around 360 acres in northern Oklahoma that has been in our family since the land rush. Growing up, the family would meet there for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but as the family expanded, it was quickly outgrown. Nowadays, I'm about the only person that goes there, and went there regularly to train with my firearms. I went there earlier this year and had an experience that shook me so badly that I haven't spoken about it until recently and will never go back there alone. I arrived around 2 p.m. and set up my targets, but something felt off. I use an electronic headset for hearing protection that also amplifies ambient noise, and I noticed that everything seemed to stop. No wind, no bugs, no birds, nothing. Just complete and total silence, which is very unusual for the area. I run my normal drills, and as the sun starts to set, things get stranger. Odd smells, like a dirty litter box plus body odor, started coming around, and I noticed that the coyotes were crossing the field west of me, almost as if they were intentionally avoiding entering the woods nearby. Then, I started hearing interference coming over my headset, and what sounded like disembodied voices speaking in an indiscernible language. Now, I'm starting to worry. I start gathering my things, and I hear what sounds like a woman's blood-curdling screams coming from the woods. Around the same time, I got what I can only describe as a nauseating, omnidirectional feeling of being watched, shortly followed by very distinct footsteps trudging through the foliage in the tree line approximately 30 yards from my position. I've been an avid hunter since childhood and familiar with noises of the woods, and the cadence of the footsteps were indicative of a large, bipedal creature oddly human-like. I pull my phone out to take video, and I start scanning the tree line with my flashlight. Standing behind a tree at the edge of the tree line was a tall, black silhouette with spindly limbs and a pale face, looking directly at me. I managed to capture a great still image of it from the video that I will try to find and attach. I quickly grabbed my range bag and made a run towards my truck. I get about 50 yards from the truck, and the light post on our property, that is hooked up to county power and has never turned off in the 20 years I've been going here, suddenly cuts off. Now, I'm blindly running in the direction I believe my truck is in while I hit the unlock button on my fob to find the lights. I get in my truck, speed off, and as I'm watching in the rear view, the light post turns back on. I apologize for the long post, but I'm finally ready to get this out in the open for interpretation. I tend to think of myself as a rational person that doesn't necessarily believe in the woo kind of stuff. Although, my mother described me as being sensitive and somewhat gravitated towards energies as a child. I was doing everything I could to rationalize or come up with a reasonable explanation for the things I was experiencing, but I have no explanation. The kind of fear this experience put into me was unlike any kind of fear I'd ever felt. Story 2. A few stories about a friendly ghost named Dave. Posted this first in our Ask Reddit a long time ago, and figured this would be a good place to share a few encounters with a ghost, not a mean-spirited one, but rather a more polite ghost who usually referred to himself as Dave. Never saw him, ever, but the best way to describe his voice is an elderly hardcore smoker answering you from another room. His voice is always muffled but rough and coarse. Here are a few stories with Dave, edited for some clarification. The first time I ever actually heard Dave was when I was 9. I was in the living room, reading a Batman comic book. I heard Dave asking me if Batman was fighting the Joker. I mindlessly just answered, "Yeah, you can read this after I am done." Took my young brain a minute before realizing that there was no one else in the house with me to ask me that at the time. My mom once told me she was taking laundry to her room when she suddenly bumped into something large and invisible, making her fall backwards with the laundry. She then heard Dave exclaim, "Oh, I'm so sorry, are you okay?" My mom saw no one, but she did felt like there was someone helping her get up as well as pointing out where all her fallen clothing went. In my lifetime, we had about 7 cats who have lived with us. Every now and then, I will see one of them rolling over and enjoying something petting them. Never could get it on camera. In high school, I got a few friends to bring out an Ouija board to my house in hopes to talk to Dave. Before we could even begin, the little triangle thing that comes with the board vanished without a trace. Me and my friends were confused until we heard Dave say in a rough voice, "No, this is not the time. There is someone outside that you do not want to invite in here." Me and my friends just sat there in silence. Then we put the board away, only taking it out to burn it a few months later during summer camp. Only once did I ask why did Dave haunt our house. His response to this question was him knocking on the walls, leading me to my bedroom door. I opened it up, looked inside, and felt him push me into my room and closed the door on me. He sent me to my room for asking him such a personal question. Never brought it up since. There hasn't been much activity of him since 2014, and my parents who still live there think he has moved on. He was a great ghost, and I do hope he is in a better place now. Story 3. Sleep paralysis or paranormal activity. Last night, I was having trouble getting to sleep. Around 2 a.m., I sensed someone outside my bedroom door. I turned my head to look and saw a tall shadowy figure standing in the shadows of the darkness. The figure then spoke to me, very clearly, in the voice of my next-door neighbor, and asked, "Do you have any tobacco?" I was half asleep and confused and angry, so rudely replied, "No, I effing don't," and the figure silently moved away. A second later, I hear the front wooden door open and close, but no screen door or my neighbor's doors. We live in semi-detached units, so our doors are very close. 8 meters. And as we are very good friends, he often pet and house sits for me, but he has never just let himself in when I'm home. I lay in bed angry for a bit. Then as I fully awaken, I realize my front door was locked and deadbolted with the screen door also locked. My neighbor did not have my keys. He had given them back after borrowing my car earlier in the evening. Goosebumps crawling all over, I go and check my doors. Locked, safely, as they had been when I went to bed. Yet I have one footprint, that looks like someone turning on the spot. I didn't think you could move or talk during sleep paralysis. I have experienced other paranormal activity, yet this was such a non-threatening but still alarming experience. Very different to anything I've seen so far. Please convince me I'm not going silly.
Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. And please like and subscribe to help support the channel.